The rules of the game. The Big Rock Blue Marlin Tournament only takes place once a year, and oh, the excitement it brings. How fortunate I am just to live 15 minutes from where the festivities and the weigh-ins take place. Moving here just a year ago, I had no idea this event even existed. However, it didn't take long to learn. Morehead City, North Carolina is centered around a fishing spot off its coast referred to as Big Rock. It's the nucleus of this world-renowned yearly occasion, even one that Michael Jordan participates in. Watching some of the big fish being weighed on local TV, I became hooked, no pun intended. Hooked, not because I wanted to be one of these anglers who brought the biggest catch in, but rather hooked on all the excitement which surrounds the tournament, the street vendors, food trucks, boat manufacturers demonstrating their latest product. Then there were the live bands and crowds cheering loudly at the next big marlin being raised by the pulley and rope. 271 large fishing boats competed, and after 5 days, on top of the leaderboard was a 484.5-pound blue marlin, brought in by a boat known as Sushi. Not much action for the first part of the last day, a Saturday morning. Then it happened. A boat which goes by the name of the Sensation hooked up. Although the tournament was officially over midday, the rules stated if an angler was hooked up before the deadline, the fish would be allowed in. I noticed most of the anglers had taken approximately 2 hours to reel in one of these gigantic fish. However, 2 hours passed, then 3, then 4 and 5. Darkness began setting in, and lights were brought into the docking area. 10 p.m., and the crowd hadn't gone anywhere. Then it happened. Somebody shouted, "They are coming into the sound now," while pointing to the approaching lights of a large fishing boat. One could hear the crew of the Sensation shouting cheers of victory as the captain slowly backed into the slip. Next, on the big screen, the camera scans the back interior of the boat, and there it was, a massive size blue marlin. As soon as the Sensation was tethered, tournament officials boarded to measure and examine this prize-sized creature. A few minutes goes by, then the camera focuses on discussions between the officials and some of the crew members. As the conference continued, the crowd began to grow weary and started shouting, "Weigh that fish! Weigh that fish!" Finally, the ropes and pulleys were swung over, and the giant fish was hoisted up and out of the boat. A moment later, the scale official announced 619 pounds, and the crowd went wild. Cheers, dancing in the streets, horns honking, for you see, the Sensation was a local boat and crew. Moore City's own had just won over $3.5 million. As for me, I had stayed up to watch the entire thing on TV, and I must say it was well worth losing a couple of hours sleep over. Then it happened. The announcer came over the intercom and said these words, "Folks, we have been informed by the tournament officials a shark bite has been found on the marlin's tail, which disqualifies it from competition." Thousands of people grew so quiet you could have heard a pin drop. And then the protest by many, including the crew of the Sensation. But in the end, Rule-23 won out. Any fish with a shark bite or other deformity would be disqualified from competition. Now, one might ask, what does this story have to do with the Holy Bible? Well, let me read it to you. 2 Timothy, 2nd chapter, and the 5th verse. "And if a man also strive for masteries, yet he is not crowned, except he strive lawfully." The word mastery in the Bible meant superiority, as in a competition. To strive lawfully meant to go by the rules. If the winner of a competition gained superiority in any other way, he wasn't crowned the champion. Folks, there's a new phrase in town which takes the place of outright cheating. That phrase is to gain an edge. Yes, there are legitimate ways to gain an edge. Athletes may spend more time working out in the gym to gain an edge. People get an education in order to gain an edge. But all too often, we see backdoor shenanigans like some politicians use to gain an edge. It's wrong in government, it's wrong in the workplace, it's wrong in sports, and neighbor, this is one we don't think about, but it's also wrong to enhance our standing in the community or with our family by breaking the rules. The Holy Bible tells us if we achieve the crown by breaking the rules, it doesn't count. Let me conclude with this. In the end, the members of the sensation went back, read Rule 23, dropped their protest, then congratulated the crew of the sushi as the winner. Folks, no one in this situation was a loser. It's okay to ask our brother to let's take a second look at a situation like this, but when it's all said and done, we must all go by the rule, the same set of rules. Otherwise, we are nothing more than a counterfeit. Amen. Until next time, this is Troy Wilson saying, may God bless you and yours.